We are back with another great video. It's your guy Troublematic, and we are back again on this Matic Monday to talk about all things remote work. If this is your first time, we talk about digital nomad stuff. We talk about transferring your skills. We talk about a little travel, and we put all of that under the sun and have some fun. And so we are back with my co-host Tiffany Sports and Heels. What's going on? How are you?
Season. I'm excited. I've got to travel for an outdoor track and field NCAA championship this week, so I'm really excited. Championships are the best. You get to be a part of the show a little bit, making sure everything's running smoothly and everything's legal. So it's a real exciting time. I love to travel, so I'm headed down south, y'all.
Headed down south. Okay. And also I would like to introduce this is like family here. I got to treat her like she my cousin too.
That's right.
If she's Tiffany cousin, she got to be my cousin too. So what's going on, cuz? Welcome to the stage, Miss Danielle Mincy White. I'm sorry, Dr. Danielle Mincy.
I was gonna say, get it right. We got a doctor in the
welcome. Oh, the audience is they're glad to see you too. Oh, thank you. Glad you came here with us today. So, well, thank you for coming. It's kind of like, I don't know, was this last minute? I think you said you reached out to her.
And it was very much last minute.
Was it about 3 hours ago? Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. I love, people putting down their life to come and talk to us, and you could have been somewhere else, but you're here with us.
Yes.
So the people are coming in. We have like a smaller type, comfortable chat room.
Okay.
Anywhere from like 3 to 20, 30 or whatever that'll come in and out. They'll shoot the breeze with us, tell a little lies, have a good little time. So yes, we're excited to have you here. We have these topics that we like to talk about. Like I said, I don't know why I came up with this. Other than my own size, but I started seeing other things in like just today. Mocha Bella, one of our mutual friends, she sent me Chief's link. He was on with Jungle Brother in YouTube, and Chief saw me. He said, Oh, that's Travelmatic, man. You always do that. He in Atlanta on that one, come drink with me, but he always be traveling. He's always traveling. And he's talking about the airlines. I said, well, I'm a Spirit guy, whatever. So Jungle was like, oh man, I'm too big for that, man. I got to get United, whatever. And I was like, maybe you can get the other seat. But people have weight problems, especially here in the States, So I know you're a person of the fitness culture. So it's just, it meshed all together, and look at what we have here.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and whatever you guys want to discuss about traveling and staying fit while you travel. Because like you said, in my travels, I've been able to actually pinpoint the Americans. Because the Americans are, when I see them overseas, they are
huge,
like morbidly obese.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So tell us, just I know because you're the first time. See, I'm gonna hold Tiffany because Tiffany been talking about you for a minute.
I'm
gonna get my cousin. I'm gonna get my cousin. My cousin here. My cousin in Mexico. My cousin Bermuda or Barbados. All over the world. And I'm like, when you gonna get your cousin on here, girl?
Well, I want to say, while I have an opportunity to, I tell her this all the time, but when I was young, my cousin was who I looked up to. She was always doing she was never one to just be mediocre or do mediocre things. And nothing's wrong with being average, but she was never average. Everything she did was with excellence. And I just admired that about her. She had a confidence and an aura about her that was just irresistible, right? And then to know that she was just like all over the world by herself you know, and you know, you would never know where she was at. And she was just always just gathering knowledge and using what she learned and giving back with that. And always in a different place. She was just never, you know, never one to just be stagnant and just live in that one. It was always about there's so much more to life. There's so much more to the human experience. And I admired that so much. And so when I started my own traveling, that's really the inspiration I took from my immediate family. Of course, you have social media and you have friends that are doing things, but there is nothing like seeing another Black female in your own family who's kind of really just doing something out of the ordinary. And not only that, have it be so extraordinary. So, you know, she's really been an inspiration for me. So I've been wanting to get her on for a very long time because I have been wondering how has she been doing it for so long? I mean, this is before I even knew about, you know, solo travel and going and live in other countries and African-American, especially women doing that. This was before any of that, right? Before social media, before all of that, she was already doing those things. And so I admire that about her. And I'm glad she's jumped on social media to start to give back some of the things that she's learned throughout her years and the travel and her life experience. So I'm so excited to have you on the show tonight.
Wow, you said a mouthful, and I'm sitting up here trying not to be emotional because, you know, and because family is very important to me, even though I am all over the world. Okay. And that's why I am grateful for social media. You will probably never hear me say social media is bad. Okay. Because social media affords me the opportunity to stay connected to my family. And especially because my family, you know, I was talking to one of my cousins earlier today, and back when I was in Indonesia, when the pandemic first hit, okay, I was in Indonesia, supposedly only on a 3-week vacation from my work in China. Well, when the U.S. State Department sends those emails that says no non-essential travel to China because of this Wuhan virus, I was only 10 days into my vacation, and I decided that I'll just stay there in Indonesia because I was on an island that did not have any COVID cases. And, you know, a lot of people back home were saying, oh, you should come home before they shut down the borders. Well, the way I think is, well, if they shut down the borders, that means I can't get out. Okay. So why would I leave a beautiful island in Southeast Asia? There was a gym there. A gym. And I'm vegan, and it was like vegan paradise for me because there were so many vegan restaurants, so many, and they delivered, and you know the living conditions. Because initially I was living in Indonesia, they call them homestays. So initially I was staying in one homestay, and when I decided, oh well, you know what? Since we're not going back to China, I need to go get my tourist visa. Because initially in Indonesia, you get a visa on arrival. I'm glad I paid for that.
Yeah.
Instead of getting the free one. Because when I paid for it, that meant that I was automatically granted the tourist visa. But that was after I left the country. I went to Malaysia. I went to Kuala Lumpur to leave the country and come back in and get the tourist visa. So all of that was brand new experiences for me. Because I was like, okay, now how am I doing this? And so what winds up happening is that I was talking to somebody about this actually I posted this because I have no clue on how to use public transportation in the US. I have no clue. Okay. But I have jumped myself on a Chinese subway, high-speed trains, Mexican buses, and on the back of a scooter going up in a 4-hour trip up in the mountains in Indonesia, and without even thinking about it. But I don't know how to ride the metro here in the DMV.
So let me ask you a question, because I've always known you to be fit. I remember being young, and y'all, Dr. Dana White had Body Yaddy Yaddy before there was Body Yaddy Yaddy. I remember we used to be out as a family, and her body was she's always taking good care of herself. So I want to know, how did you actually get into fitness? Because I know you were naturally,
I ran track.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't think. Well, for me, the regimen, you know, like the different parts of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was my life, and so transitioning to life after sports was difficult because now it's like, okay, now you got to be normal.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's more
you go to
sedimentary.
work, you go to work, and I was like, you know what, I can't do this. I need to have something else to do, because back then I didn't realize I self-diagnosed. I know I'm ADHD.
Okay.
You know I am. Okay, because I can do multiple things at the same time, but if I'm only focusing on one thing, I can't get it done. It stresses me out to focus only on one thing. So that's how I self-diagnosed. But you know, a lot of it had to do with the fact that in our family, hypertension is prevalent. Diabetes, type 2 diabetes is prevalent.
Yep.
I want to say all of our, including my mother, your father, all of them at some point, I want to say, had a stroke.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Two of the uncles had massive strokes that took them out, like completely.
Yeah.
You know, they were on life support, I want to say, Uncle Emmett, and they were on life support. And so growing up, all I remember is hearing, because my mom was taking medication for hypertension while she was pregnant with me.
Wow.
Okay. And because of that, growing up seeing those little orange medicine bottles, that was what I didn't want to inherit.
Yeah.
I didn't want to inherit that. So at a young age, that's why, you know, being active, sports was very important to me. Around 16, I was diagnosed with hypoglycemia, meaning I have low blood sugar, and the doctor said it was pre-diabetes.
Yeah.
However, there's no medication for it. So the only thing is lifestyle. So that meant being active, making sure that I drink plenty of water, very, very, you know, watching the glycemic index of my foods.
Is that how you became vegan? Is just from being so cautious of your eating?
You know what? And this is why, backstory, my parents were not surprised when I went vegan. 14 years ago, they were not surprised. And why? Because I always loved my vegetables. I would eat vegetables and then ask for seconds. Okay. Meat, on the other hand, I was the kid that they made sit at the table and eat all that meat off the bone. Okay. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, you know how when you eat chicken in those strings? Okay. I knew that those strings were the chicken's veins.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna ruin chicken for me.
Okay. And you know how when they fry chicken and then you get to the bone and the bone is purple?
Yeah.
That's the blood.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to get that close. Okay. So going vegan was like, oh, thank you. Now I have a reason not to eat this stuff. Okay. And so I enjoy cooking now. I used to hate to cook because that meant I had to touch it too.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't even like going, because that aisle in the grocery store is cold and I don't like cold weather. So I used to avoid it like at all costs. Like I would buy for my family, if they wanted chicken, I would buy those big bags that are frozen chicken drumettes because it's frozen. So I really don't have to touch it.
You can season it, throw it in the oven.
Yes. Yes. And I would be like, that should last y'all for like a whole week.
Okay. So what I love about your journey is that it's kind of taking you all over the place.
It really is.
And in the last couple of years, you started competing, which is probably my favorite thing. Because I compete.
Actually, because I started back in 2014 at 51.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got into competing. You're living in another country at this time, right?
In 2014, when I was living in Jacksonville, Florida, when I first got started.
Okay.
And that was completely on a lark because I was going to the gym. I was working out because then I was a professor at University of North Florida, sport management. And, access, universities, if they have good money, okay, they have like the best facilities. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had like the best facility. And I'm working out, but again, that athletic mindset, I needed to work out for performance for a reason.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Let me see if there's any bodybuilding competitions.
And you just
and I actually registered and competed 3 weeks after starting my training. Okay.
Wow.
And the bug hit. Now that one, that what you just put up, that was my show last year, April, the World Vegan Bodybuilding Championship. I was so excited about it. And there I got best presenter of the show. Okay. I got second in masters and second overall, but I got best presenter of the show. And with the presenting, you actually do your posing routine to music. Okay.
And what was this?
The song that I chose was a song by Danielle Brooks, the woman who was in Color Purple.
Yeah.
And her song was Black Woman. I'm a Black woman. Okay.
Okay.
And I practiced that song. I practiced my routine so much that when they called my number and I walked up on the stage, it was like I was completely in the zone. Okay. Yeah. And it was funny because when I looked at the pictures, I was like, oh, okay. And the judges' feedback was, what the judges told me, they was like, you owned the stage. You owned it. You won hands down. That was yours. So
where was this competition? Was this the one that you did it in Puerto Vallarta?
Oh no, the Puerto Vallarta one was, I don't even think I have any pictures on my website of the Puerto Vallarta. That one right there is just last November at the Caribbean Grand Prix Pro Qualifier. I didn't get my pro card, but I'm still going for it. But I got second in masters again, and then I got third in the open tall division.
Was that's the one that was in Barbados?
That was in the Bahamas. But I was living in Barbados.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how, because I'm on your Instagram, and also I, personally, I know that staying fit and training while you're traveling internationally is very important. You mentioned that you're in the States now. So how do you maintain your diet, because you're vegan, so it's a little bit different, and also the fitness lifestyle while you're traveling?
Well, the one thing I always look for is gyms. Like literally, I'm going back to Mexico, okay, because I have my residency card. I got my 4-year residency, and I'll be going for permanent residency probably after that. But the first thing I always look for is, where's the nearest gym? Is it walkable? And I've been very blessed to go to places where the gyms were within walking distance. Like I said, there was one gym on the island, and I remember getting off the boat, because the only way you can get to Gili Air is by boat. Okay. And so I remember getting off the boat, and there posted on the tree was a flyer, Holiday Fit gym. And I'm like, yes, there's a gym. Okay. And I was very fortunate that the gyms were not closed, because this was at the beginning. The pandemic hadn't been announced yet.
Right. It was unofficial, unofficial.
Yeah, it was. Well, no, they didn't announce it. Actually, I got the email January 28th.
Wow.
I got the email January 28th, 2020. And then the U.S. didn't start paying attention until March.
Yeah, I remember when the U.S. shut down. It was right after my sister's Yvette's birthday.
Oh, it was March, right?
It was like March 15th. Right after that is when they shut everything down, like the next day or something.
Which was interesting because, and my pet peeve about that is that here it is, if you were outside of the U.S. and if you were in China, because I'm part of the State Department, what they call the STEP program, where you enroll, and wherever you are, then they send you updates about what's going on, especially politically, in the places that where you're located. So when I got the email, it was from the U.S. State Department, and I remember specifically that they said that the CDC was monitoring the situation. This is January 28th. Okay. So if you're sending me an email saying I can't go back to China, but you're monitoring there in Atlanta where the CDC is located, if you're monitoring it from the US, then how is it that the US was caught unguarded?
Yeah.
Okay. I had friends who left China to go back to the US when China was about to shut down. Okay. So I say to them, so what kind of precautions did they make at the airport? You know, did they have you all like take your temperature, anything like that? They was like, no, they didn't do any of that. And I was like, to me, that was irresponsible.
Yeah.
Because, go ahead.
So going back to what you're doing while you're traveling, so you always look for a gym, which is
I always look for a gym. Like,
so do you determine that so when you go in there, you tell them I'm only here for such and such amount of time? Are you like negotiating? Or are you just paying whatever that rate is?
Well, in Mexico, it's so inexpensive. Like for 2 months, I paid like $33.
Wow.
Okay. Let's see. In Indonesia, it was probably like $10 a month. Okay. When I lived in China, it was part of my rent. It was part of the perks in my apartment building. Same way when I lived in Dubai, it was part of the perks. Barbados, I literally said when I was looking for apartments there, I actually told my real estate agent that I needed to be within within walking distance of a gym. Okay. So she literally picked me up from the airport. And before I went to go see, I saw a video of my place, but before she took me to my house, she took me to go look at the gyms.
Wow.
Okay.
How about this? How about for travelers who are not aware where the gyms are, where they're at currently, like a time where you just didn't have access to a gym? What did you do with a typical hotel room or Airbnb?
Well, see, now most hotels have fitness centers.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Most hotels have fitness centers. But say, for instance, if I have a long layover, I always travel with a resistance band. So it's nothing to see me work out during a layover
in the airport, in the terminal.
Yeah.
Stop it. You in there doing some
I've seen video on her social media. She's not lying.
Walking lunges. Okay. Squats. Curls.
Now that's dedication, people. That's what you call dedication.
Hey, look, I have a business model. I think I really think that there should be gyms in the airport. People are like, oh, well, what if people don't?
Yeah, there should be gyms in the airport. That's a great. I like that. That's a great thought.
There really should be, because look at all the restaurants. You have all the restaurants, all the alcohol. You got all those things, but the one thing that they don't have are gyms. And people say, oh, well, you know, what if somebody doesn't take a shower? Well, all of that will be a part of the consideration. People are, if you have it there and you maintain it well, people will use it. I know I would.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's.
Well, I've seen you do workouts in the park, using park benches.
Look, I was there. Listen, because I had meetings today, I did 2 parts. Okay. And it was, it's pretty out, and at the park, I know this is kids equipment, but heck, I'm a big kid. So they have like this, what they call, they used to be like monkey bars, but now it's like ropes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I went over there. I did some Bulgarian split squats with my foot up on the rope, so you have to balance, get that brain proprioception going. Because as you age, you got to work with your balance, because that's what be happening. People falling, talking about they can't get up, then broke something. I'm not trying to be that. Okay, I'm not trying to be that person. I did some hip thrusts, standing hip thrust on the ropes. And did some calf raises. Them calf raises on a rope. Oh, you working that soleus real good. You working that soleus. And so got that part out. Then came back home, did my meetings, and then when the meetings were over, walked to the gym, did part 2. Now I'm good to go.
Good. So what do you do about the eating? Because I know that is a challenge, even if you are a meat eater.
Oh gosh. Well, in the airports, they need to do better. Okay, they really need to do better because like I was in Miami airport. Gosh, when was I in Miami? I've been in Miami airport several times over the when I went to the Bahamas. Okay, I had to fly through Miami from Barbados. And you would think an international airport would have vegan options. So they had like this burger shack place, and they said that they had it said they had a vegan burger. I go and they're out of them. I'm like, okay, so who's in charge of inventory? So what I do a lot is I may get, I pretty much in places like that, I exist off of nuts and seeds. I just make sure that I have some sunflower seeds or something like that, just so that my blood sugar doesn't go low. During competition season, though, I actually travel with my food already cooked.
How do you do that? You have to check it?
No,
No, you make food on
it's cooked. It's cooked. So it's in my little cooler, so it stays warm. And I just pull it out, because during competition, when I'm actually training, I have to make sure that I'm getting my right amount of, get my macros, my proteins, carbs, fats, and my snacks, because I gotta keep up the I have to have enough calories, because I have a tendency, I burn calories really easy.
Okay.
So I have to. Yeah. Look, my coach and I, we realized that what has been happening is that my stage weight for one show will become my high point. I've dropped like maybe 5 or 6 more pounds. Okay. And then that becomes so bulking is difficult for me. We have to really work for me to, I have to really be conscious to get enough food so that I can bulk, so that when it's time to cut, then I can cut without looking flat on stage.
So let me ask you a question. Obviously being in the fitness world and looking like a fitness person, doing lunges at the airport and stuff like that, I'm sure you get a lot of inquiries from those who maybe are looking to start their journey, or maybe stopped and stalled it, or maybe they're hitting a plateau. Do you ever find yourself giving out that kind of advice? And then what kind of things what kind of obstacles are they seeing that you're having to coach them through?
Well, the main thing is consistency. Okay. Because like I have coached people, but now I weed people out, because you can't pay me enough to be frustrated with your lack of consistency. Because I feel like I put my all into the coaching programs. Like I've developed your program for 6, how many days a week that you say that you're going to commit to. What is difficult for me, and something that, my parents were always on me about this. There's like, well, just because something comes easy to you, it's not easy to someone else. Yeah. Well, I understand that, but when are you going to prioritize your health? Yeah. Because that's all we have. We have only one temple. Okay. And it's far too many what they call non-communicable diseases that are taking us out. And it's like we forgot the things that held our ancestors. For instance, I was looking at the fact that my great grandfather, who was born on my paternal side, was born enslaved. Okay. He lived longer than the life expectancy for a Black man today, and that's without health insurance.
Wow.
So what's the issue here?
Oh, it's in the food.
It's in the food.
Forks over knives.
It's in the food. It's in the
lifestyle.
Sedentary lifestyle. Okay.
Stress. The rat race.
Exactly, which is one of the reasons why I'm like, "Ooh, it's time for me to bounce," because the whole energy.
I was going to say the energy here is just so
The energy here is designed for people to always be in flight or fright mode.
Yeah.
Flight or fight mode. Okay.
Yeah.
And what that causes the cortisol in the body, and when your cortisol increases, your body holds on to fat because it's thinking that it's going to run out of food.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's funny that you say that, because not only have a lot of people said it, but I've been saying it for years. I am such a much healthier version of myself when I'm traveling, because that fight or flight when I'm abroad, when I'm abroad specifically. Now, you know, I have that still here in the U.S., but there's something about being abroad. The food is different. I can eat, rice and pasta, and I don't feel bloated or tired.
And depending on where you are too, how the food is made. Okay. Like, for instance, in Barbados, if you go buy a head of lettuce, you better be ready to eat that lettuce that day.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't stay, it doesn't last the way our
shelf life.
Yeah, the food here in the U.S. is like, I remember when you couldn't buy a loaf of bread and it stayed fresh for longer than 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Now you look, it gives you what, like 3-4 weeks?
3 or 4 weeks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the reasons why I started buying my bread local from farmers markets, because it does only last 3. They'll tell you, like, you got 3 days. I'm like, how many days do I have? And usually if they tell me it's over 3 days, I don't buy it. I don't want bread that's going to last me a week. I don't want that. I want the bread that's going to give me 3 days to eat it,
Have you guys seen the, and I actually did this experiment both with Burger King and McDonald's. I bought a kid's meal with no condiments and kept it. I'm trying to think. I bought those in, I want to say like 2000. Oh gosh, maybe about 2007. Okay. And by 2015, the meat, the patties shrunk up a little bit so they look like little sausages.
Mm-hmm.
The bread had no mold, but the bread, of course, was dry, so it was getting crumbly. And the French fries looked like they just came out of the fryer. No mold anywhere.
Yeah.
And I kept it in my.
How long was it?
Huh? Like 8 years.
Yes.
8 years.
There's a woman. I want to say. There's a woman who actually has it. I want to say it's McDonald's as well, but she's had it for over 20 years. Okay, and I can remember even taking mine and putting it outside on the sidewalk to see if ants went around it. Ants didn't go near it. Okay.
Wow. Let me go to some comments here. Because if you're just joining us, we have a guest in the house, Dr. Danielle Mitzi White, the vegan bodybuilder. And so we have C. Jordan. Appreciate you coming in. Actually, I'm going to go back up to Tiffany Pula in Portland. Always a great contributor to the show. C. Jordan, he loves Tiffany and the panel.
Thank you.
Mocha Bella, she says, hello, Mocha, one of the best supporters of Matic Mondays. She states, I'm glad you're talking about this topic, because most influencers or bloggers don't talk about being overweight and fitness while traveling abroad. That's why we're here. This is why we are here, to give you not the norm, trying to break the algorithm. That's Tiffany was like, why do you, well, I mean, we're not trying to be insensitive to fat people or people who are oversized, but it was just the eye-catchy thing to say the fat traveler. But we're trying to help people in improving their weight, their size, their health, so they can live longer, travel more, not pay for 2 seats on the airplane and all that stuff. It's expensive when you big. So
and on that note, I think it's important to note that some people's weight issues have nothing to do with their diet, or I'm sorry, with overconsumption. There could be hormonal issues, there could be other medical issues, there could be other things, other factors that are contributing to their obesity. And also, I want to make sure we mention that your weight, at least in my personal opinion, is not also the only determination just because someone is small that they're healthy. I think it's important that we call those things out, because I'm telling you, in the world of track and field, I have seen, the healthiest people I've ever seen, and they don't look like, bodybuilders. They don't look like, Instagram models. In fact, they tend to have larger bodies, but they live a very active. They tend to have a strict diet, a regiment diet. They don't tend to indulge in alcohol, which is another thing that we don't really talk about, that we should talk about, its impact on your health and weight management. But I think it's important that we bring that up, that while we're not being insensitive to the word fat and how it can be used to be derogatory, we want to make sure we're recognizing that it's not just because you eat a lot of food, right? There can be other issues.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because in what was that? I want to say around I was at my heaviest around 2006, 2007.
Okay.
I was my heaviest not pregnant. Okay. And I weighed in at 180 pounds. I was working out, running, lifting, all of that, eating very little. I probably wasn't eating enough, and yet I was gaining weight and I had no idea what was going on. Well, talk about that fight or flight. Talk about cortisol.
Yeah.
Stress will cause your body to hold on to weight.
Yep.
Okay. And I was definitely stressed. Okay. I had to make a decision about whether or not I was going to stay in a marriage that had definitely run its course.
Right now, all right.
Okay. And literally was on medication for depression, anxiety, and I needed something to sleep at night. We're talking all medications.
Yeah.
Okay.
That go for jobs too.
Yes, it does. Okay. So here it is. How I got on the medications was I was on my way home from campus. Like I said, I was a professor. I'm on my way, and the closer I get to home, I realize I'm starting to panic. The anxiety is rising. So much so that when I turned on the major parkway, I was in a full-blown panic attack. I look over, and my doctor's office was on that parkway. I literally I was in the left lane. I went over, jumped. I don't even remember turning off my car. Jumped out, went in. His nurse practitioner, she looks at me. She takes me back to a room. She didn't even make me sit in there because I'm like literally having a meltdown right there. My doctor, I want to say he was Indian, and he just said to me, Danielle, I can write all kind of prescriptions, but you have decisions to make.
So let me ask you this: when you're traveling now and you're at the gym, are you seeing more of us internationally?
At the gym?
Yes.
Depending on where I am. When I was in Barbados, yes, I'm in a black country.
Yes.
I love the melanin. I loved it. It was like, look at my people. We in here working out. We getting it done. But that's a black country.
Right.
Okay. In Indonesia, I was the only black woman on the island.
Wow.
Okay. In Mexico, I was the only black woman in my gym because I lived in the hood. I lived in the Mexican hood. Okay. And it didn't bother me. I loved it. But no, I don't see, and especially, and depending on where you are, because you know the expat population, in expat communities, I love expat communities because we don't have those who are you, where you come from, barriers that in the U.S. we have about meeting new people.
Yeah, what high school did you go to? What college? All that stuff that don't mean nothing.
Exactly. Like literally, I met people. I started this when I was in Indonesia because, again, not that many black people. The first part of the island that I was on, the big island I was on, was Lombok. So I'm in Kuta Lombok. Again, my first solo trip, and by myself, and so. I meet this lady, I meet this young white woman from the Netherlands, and we're hanging out. Like literally met her at this restaurant club. We're hanging out, and I see some black people walking down the street. Okay. And I started this thing where I just say, "Hey, black people,"
Happy to see him.
So by the time I get to Gili Air, that became kind of like my calling card. The locals, like if other black people, and this is right in that little midsection before the pandemic hit and people rushing to get back to wherever. So there was like probably about, I want to say I met like 4 or 5 other black people from all over the world, really, like South Africa, New Zealand, who came to the island because it's easy to get there. And the locals recognized that when I saw black people, I would say, "Hey, black people." So the locals started sending black people who came to the island to me. Like they're like knocked on the doors, like, "Yeah, they said we needed to come meet you." And I was like, "Oh," but and with that, I can remember going to the beach and I see the locals and they're just brown as me.
Yeah.
I said sunflower seeds have too much salt. Well, get the unsalted ones.
That's
you need to see Jordan comment. Sunflower. Yes, you have unsalted.
Unsalted ones, because sunflower seeds have more protein in them than eating you get more protein from sunflower seeds than eating a steak. So
okay, so give us the list. Give us the airport list of stuff.
Airport list. Yes, if we're in the airport.
That's healthy for you to eat.
Okay, what I will typically try to do in the airport, depending on what's there. Okay, if there are no options whatsoever, I will go into one of those little kiosk kind of stores. Get either some, because I love pistachios, so I'll get some pistachios. I'll make sure I get me a big old thing of water. If there's fresh fruit, I'll get like an orange or something like that, or a banana to keep my potassium up because of flying. But other than that, I will pretty much travel with my own food. I'll make my own food, cook it, put it in my little cooler, and again, pull it out and eat it.
So French fries, no, even though it's no meat?
No, because French fries are probably, they've probably been cooked in the same oil as they do chicken and everything else.
You concerned about the oil.
I have to go salads you can kind of grab from like.
Well, if the salads don't have cheese, and that's my other thing. Why do they have on prepackaged salads? Why does everything have to have cheese? That's unnecessary.
So you're plant-based vegan?
Yes.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, to me, there's no other way to be vegan.
Oh, there's some fat vegans around here now.
I mean, you know, and even with that, there's like I see here in the US, there's a whole lot of processed foods that are vegan, but I won't eat them. I'll make my own stuff.
Me too. I'm the same way.
Okay.
I'm big on 1 or 2 ingredients. If I look at the back of a package of food and it says, and I'm looking for something, peanut butter is a prime example. I'm looking for peanut butter. I look at the back of the label, and if it says anything other than peanut butter and oil, I don't want it, because
and
it's not.
Especially with all those syllables, you know, it's like, okay, what is this? Yeah. Why is this here? Yeah. You know, I recently started making my own nut milk. Okay, because
I said I want to get to that point. I started making my own ice cream because I love ice cream. I love dairy.
See, now me and dairy,
I love it.
Me and dairy don't get.
I love cheese and eggs.
Now, you know, it's funny because I thought that would be the most difficult. I thought cheese and eggs would be the most difficult things for me to give up, but they weren't, because there were alternatives.
What's the alternative to cheese?
You can make cashew cheese, pine nuts make good cheese. Some people, you know, they even have the processed, you know, vegan cheese. But it, you know, if I want to, like, and nutritional yeast gives everything a good cheesy. Like if I make some popcorn, you know, and I sprinkle some nutritional yeast on there, I'm good.
Tacos and stuff like that. What do you use for that? I use cheese for everything. Cheeseburgers.
Tacos, like I'll make, like if I don't have any like jackfruit or anything like that to make my tacos with, I'll go get some hibiscus, sorrel in the islands. In Mexico, it's called jamaica. Okay, but it's really hibiscus, where they make sorrel from.
Right.
They make the best birria tacos.
Okay? Really?
Yeah. So here it is. I boil them, make my drink, and then I drain it and then lightly stir fry it in some like some olive oil or coconut oil. Lightly stir fry it, and there it is.
So when you're traveling, you do a lot of grocery shopping and cooking now?
Yeah. I prefer cooking my own food because I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm putting in my food. Okay. And in Mexico, it was so easy because, again, I lived in the hood. So there was like so many different vegetable markets that I could just go to. Like there was like literally, I walk out my apartment, walk to the next block, and there was the man who had he had fruits and vegetables, and he used to get me jackfruit. You know, he'd say, "Oh, I got some jackfruit for you." I'm like, "Yay!" And he would even cut it up for me. And
really,
I want to challenge you for a moment here on the vegan life. For the people who are a little skeptical about going into the vegan lifestyle, the B12 or limitations you may have, or omega-3s. What do you say to people like that may turn their head or talk against being vegan? Like, I can't get those minerals.
For my B vitamins, I use niacin every day because niacin is a great prophylactic I have migraines. I've been having migraines since I was a little girl. I take now when I say niacin, I'm talking about the niacin that makes you flush. Okay, not the time release. That's, to me.
Is that a supplement? I mean, I know it's a supplement, but is it a made in a lab supplement type niacin?
I guess you would say so, because you can get it in tablets.
Tablets. Okay, so you take certain vitamins for those other.
Yeah, I do a lot of, especially because I've been training, so I do a lot of BCAAs, branch chain amino acids. So that I have good recovery with my muscles. So I do amino acids. Like after my workouts, I'll drink a vegan protein shake and take 500 milligrams of L-glutamine. And then I'll have a rice cake with that.
And so I'm listening to this as somebody who competed I competed one time.
Okay.
In figure. Her supplements are the same as is a meat eater. There's not any difference. It's just she's supplementing where she would get those same nutrients and what they say in some of the meat, you get some of those benefits. So she's supplementing that. But she's actually just taking smaller doses. I'm sorry, maybe larger doses than what we're taking, but we're still taking the same supplements.
Right. Like I take supplements like in the daytime, in the morning. First thing I do is I take my niacin, because niacin again keeps away the migraines, because it keeps your your veins open. It'll give you a rush. And some people flush, but I've been doing it for over 35 years to keep away migraines. So I'll do my niacin first, and then when I eat, I take every day lysine, echinacea, biotin, milk thistle, and then I have like a multivitamin that I take, and I may do some selenium and zinc, and I take zinc. So that's every day.
You're using the milk thistle to flush your kidneys?
Yeah, milk thistle is good for the liver. Yes.
Liver, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
And you take all that when you're traveling too. You never have problems at customs with all the supplements?
No, because I put them all in a big bag and they're in the capsule. They're in the container. Yeah. So yeah.
That's good.
Interesting.
Now, if I'm traveling, like with my protein powders, because you can only have so much powder, I put those in my check bags.
I was gonna say I've always had trouble because traveling for track, I always bring protein powder with me because the meals they provide for us, whether it's USATF or NCAA, it's not always for the officials. It's not always the healthiest. And so sometimes instead of skipping it, and I need it because I'm doing 10, 12 hour, 14-hour shifts sometimes. Right. So I'll bring protein powder as, instead of eating the turkey sandwiches they got from Subway, I'll just drink a protein shake and some fruit or I'll bring snacks like nuts. Almonds are my favorite because they kind of fill me up a little bit. Yep. I like pumpkin seeds.
Papitas. I love papitas. Okay, African people, they live very long lives.
See Jordan with a comment. He says, you need to see African people. They live very long lives. Their hard life makes them live long without working out. In Uganda, I went to an area where everyone was over 100 years old.
You went to the villages, right? You went to the villages?
Yes.
Because so many of the cities have become so westernized that they're starting to have the same diseases that we do. Anywhere where the colonizers have gone, they have taken with them those lifestyle diseases.
There you go.
In the villages, yes, because they're still living from the land.
Yeah.
Right. Something you mentioned too, I wanted to chime on was the we talked about people who look fit and slim, but they can have high blood pressure, or they can be diabetic, and a lot of it is DNA. It's hereditary. Like your father's father was diabetic, your grandfather's diabetic, your mom is diabetic, which that's kind of running in my family too, and a lot of Black families,
Well, and see, you know what? That's something that's a mindset thing as well, okay? Because what happens is that what led to our ancestors starting to have those diseases. Have you heard of epigenetics?
Yes.
Okay. Epigenetics is where, yes, those diseases are passed down in the DNA. However, the one aspect of our DNA that can be reversed are the expressions of those diseases. But you, the individual, has to make changes because I am like I said, my mother developed type 2 diabetes. She had hypertension all my life. Likewise, her siblings and many of my first cousins.
Right.
I don't have any of that.
Me either.
Right. It's the lifestyle. That's what I was kind of
lifestyle has a lot to do
reverse that.
However, we as a people have gotten away from the things that kept us healthy. Gardening, growing our own food, eating the right portions of food. We're not out in the fields anymore, so we have no business eating as if we have to work 12, 15 hours picking cotton or sugar cane.
Right. Intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting, which intermittent fasting is really your body slows down. Your metabolism slows down after a certain point, and that goes according to your biological clock, your melatonin. When the sun goes down, we should already have stopped eating because now everything is slowing down.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near as hungry in the evening, especially in the summertime. I feel like that's when I'm only eating because I don't want to starve my body. But I'm like, when I wake up in the morning, that's why breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. Like, if you want to get on my backside, make me miss breakfast. Once I'm up, I'm ready to eat because my body is like, okay, I'm ready. Body knows that I'm ready to go, right? And so in the evening, I slow down way more, and so my body's like, okay, now it's time to rest, and I don't feel like digesting, which means I have digestive issues when I eat in the evening that will persist until the next day because I didn't allow my body what it needed. I needed to feed it at the time. So what I started doing is eating dinner a lot earlier and going to bed earlier, because what I find is once I get at night 2, 3, 4 a.m. My body knows it's morning time. My body's ready to eat again. And I don't eat at that. So I had to learn how to say, okay, you need to eat when you're hungry and not eat when you're not hungry.
Exactly. And most of the time when people think they're hungry, their body wants water. They're actually dehydrated. You're not hungry. You're dehydrated. Have either of you heard of exactly? Look. Have either of you heard of Ayurveda?
No.
Ayurveda?
Ayurveda. Ayurveda. Okay. No. It's an Indian tradition of medicine, but it's based off of, they diagnose you by taking your pulse, they look in your eyes.
Oh yeah, yes, I saw it on TikTok. People have been going to doctors and getting looked at, and then they like give them their prescription or whatever.
Okay, so yeah, it's I've been Ayurvedic since '93. Okay, because I was having real bad, and in Cincinnati, those real bad respiratory issues, sinuses, and all of that, and I had it so bad that I was like, I can't live like this. This doesn't make sense. So I went to, and that was when I was first introduced to Dr. Deepak Chopra. I had started reading his books, and he was talking about Ayurveda. Okay. And when he said, sir, ma'am, I know what I'm doing. Okay. I know what I'm doing. Okay. Sir, I know what I'm doing. I'm 60. I'll be 61 years old in July.
Shut up.
Yes, I'll be 61 years old in July. I am a professor of sport management with a concentration in sport physiology and anatomy. Okay. So when it comes to what I put in my body, you can best believe I'm not putting anything in my body to harm me. Because again, we only have one temple. That's why I do my own research. That's why when I read about Ayurveda and what it is based off of, because Ayurveda and Dr. Sebi's lifestyle are very similar. The only difference is that Ayurveda goes by your doshas, and everybody has a combination of 3 doshas: Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Vata, the characteristics are typically dry skin, dry scalp, very lean, doesn't like cold weather. That's me. I'm Vata. And Pitta is more fiery. Okay. They shouldn't eat a lot of spicy foods, but they like spicy foods. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kapha, more slow moving, like the really nice, the hair is like really lustrous, but slow moving. Kapha has a tendency to need to eat more spices and stay away from heavy foods because it adds to their body's propensity to hold on to fat. So I went Ayurvedic because of a chronic issue with respiratory issues. And there was one doctor who was actually a chiropractor in Northern Kentucky who had been trained at that point. I made an appointment, went to see him. He diagnosed me, literally took my pulse, looked at my eyes, looked at my tongue, then handed me a sheet of paper instead of a prescription. And on this sheet of paper were the foods to stay away from and the foods to eat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it made a world of difference.
Yes.
I'm looking at this now. They've got a place here in Cincinnati, so I think that's cool. I've never heard of it.
Man, the Indian Asian lifestyle is mind blowing. I went to Chinatown in San Francisco and went to a green tea shop, and the older guy said about our diets. He said about how like drinking cold water, like most Americans love to drink cold water with everything. You like to drink cold water, everything. Y'all like to eat your food hot and your beverages cold, which should be the total opposite.
We're supposed to eat cold.
I mean, like you said,
as raw as possible. As raw as possible.
Mm-hmm. And then drink hot.
Cook our foods.
Yes, that too, and the hot tea. And so if you'll see a lot of Chinese, and I think I didn't notice it until you said that, like all throughout Chinatown, like in their dinners have a nice dinner, but they had hot tea instead of like.
And you know what? A lot of times they're not drinking tea; they're drinking hot water.
Yes,
I was going to say they drink hot water. I learned that.
Yeah, and even like when I lived in the Middle East, they could always tell you were American because we want ice in our drinks.
Yes.
Okay. And I remember some friends of mine, some Emirati friends, were explaining to me, well, that's the reason why you sweat when you go outside. Because you're inside in the air conditioning and then you're drinking something cold with ice in it. When you take your body outside to the heat, having drank that cold causes your sweat glands to go crazy. It's just like, so I started drinking my stuff room temperature like everybody else.
I did too.
I've been drinking room temperature water for years. And actually, when I was in Colombia in August, it was hot. And that was I was amazed at how cool my body was.
Yes.
Because I wasn't drinking cold water. And every time they came around, went to a festival and it was outdoors. And every time they came around with water, they had cold water. And I said, no, give me that. I would get the water they had in a pack that they hadn't put in the cooler yet. I don't want that cold water. Give me the hot water.
Yes. But what the guy was telling you about, because actually drinking the hot when you're eating, that actually helps your body to digest it better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because when you put cold into your system to digest, it actually makes your digestion move slower.
Solidifies.
Yeah, exactly. It's solidified. Because think about it. Anything you put in the cold, it's going to turn hard. And that's the reason why. And when you think about it, that's the reason. And nobody wants to talk about this issue, but I know my dad, anytime there was something wrong with you, he was giving you some castor oil, talking about you need to clean out your system.
Yep, my mama too. My mom was good for that.
Listen, okay? But there is so much truth to that.
Yes.
You look at people nowadays and like if they have like the, it's like they have the belly, but it's not jiggly. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And all that is built up. That's the built up in the system.
They full of, I like to say they full of shit.
They are.
They full of, you're full of it.
And all of that in your body causes diseases to ferment. Like, like expand and grow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what we eat, what we put into our body, how much we eliminate, those are key things. And you even think about brain fog. Get backed up and see how alert you are.
Hey, man.
Okay?
You can't concentrate.
Can't concentrate.
You can't concentrate. All you think about is, man, I just wish I could clear.
Yeah, like, oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
She said she can't drink warm or hot water.
Oh, she said, yeah.
Are you drinking cold water? Hopefully you drink. And you know what? And even if a person doesn't drink water, make sure that you're eating fruits and vegetables that have a high water content.
Yeah.
Watermelon. Like, I have a good friend. He doesn't even drink water. What he does, he lives in Texas and out in the country.
IV?
Huh?
He gets an IV?
No, he actually, juniper berries.
Juniper berries?
Juniper berries. He makes juniper, like his family, they are like they're raw vegans. They're raw.
Okay.
Yeah. My first experience, I was vegan. I like to do the vegan lifestyles for months at a time. And so I was first introduced to it right around 2012, and it was from somebody who was raw vegan. It wasn't a person who did anything cooked. And so my first time in trying vegan, I did 6 months of raw vegan. I actually loved it. I just found it difficult for me to keep up with it because there was a lot of preparation involved that I wasn't used to prior to that. And having been in the fitness, I'm used to food prep. Because it was easy to make your food in advance on Sundays, and then you kind of like make your vegetables and kind of grab and go, and that way it was easier for me to. And then the other thing is breakfast, which I still do this to this day. I'll do. I don't. A lot of people eat oatmeal. I don't eat oatmeal. I do steel cut oats.
Yeah.
With almonds. I use distilled water or I use spring water. I don't use milk. Honey, chia seeds and flax seeds and all of that. And I do that because I know I don't consume enough fiber. So that's what I found is when I did the raw vegan diet, I loved how I felt. I loved how my skin responded. The first the first 2 weeks was difficult because my metabolism sped up like this. And so I was hungry a lot more than I was consuming. Yeah, I knew I wasn't eating enough calories. And so, because I wasn't educated enough, supplement that with having more food, right? So it was difficult to maintain. But I did like how I feel. But definitely understand to our listeners that raw vegan means you don't cook anything.
Right.
You eat everything in its natural state, and you don't manipulate it with steam. You don't manipulate it with heat. It's completely raw food. So that means it's not a lot of, there's no rice or pastas or anything like that. You're eating food as it is, which again, I enjoyed. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I just found it difficult to maintain. I think when it comes to traveling and eating and working out, I think, as we get towards the end of the show, that it's important that you find what works for you.
Exactly.
And then find influencers that kind of who you aspire to be, or who can give you cooking about, your Instagram is that you show us different ways that you've prepared food. You give us different, unique ideas on, different things to eat, because I think a lot of people when they think vegan, it's only salads, no meat, maybe potatoes.
And you know what? You can make some really good, I don't eat a lot of tofu at all. Only time I consume tofu is when I am actually in contest prep, and that's because my coach insists that I get more protein, and so I'll do tofu. But I prefer, like, for my meat, I prefer to take some walnuts and some mushrooms and make that, my walnut mushroom meat, because I just like the consistency of it. I like the taste of it, and my body digests it very well. So for me, it's all about what is going to be the best way for my body to digest what I'm putting into it.
As you mentioned, tofu, soy. What are your thoughts on, like they say, estrogen? Soy is a form of estrogen, which is not really the best thing for added estrogen to a woman or to men. If you've ever heard that theory, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, you know what? It's been around for so long without those issues. Then I look at where is it being produced.
Okay.
Because if there's any additives or anything like that, because like I've actually made my own tempeh, which is soybeans as well, and it has a lot of protein to it, and it originated in Indonesia, so I ate a lot of tempeh there. But it's made directly from the bean and not going through a process. And you can have tofu that's not made from soy. You can make tofu from lentils.
Okay.
Okay. You can make tofu. Yes, you can make tofu from lentils, because the only thing you're doing is that you're turning it into a paste and then, refrigerating it. That's it. Like you can make lentil tortillas. So you don't.
Adrian has lentils right now in his house.
You must not like lentils.
It's an inside joke. It's an inside joke. But
yeah, I love lentils. I love quinoa. Yeah.
Let me go to the people here because we got some thoughts, questions. Good evening, Miss Mocha. DJ Chuck, what's good, Chuck? Yes. Mocha says, is kale good for you?
It is, but it's like probably my least favorite green because it's bitter. I prefer like Swiss chard. I love the taste of Swiss chard.
You know Swiss chard? Oh no, that's my worst one right there.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. Me too. I think kale has whatever taste you give it. I know you have to massage kale to really get that. It has a nutty flavor to me. Once you, I love to like saute it a little bit, like add a little olive oil and get it a little soft and kind of like spinach. Because I love spinach, but I have a very much love-hate relationship with spinach.
Really?
I think, yes, because I love the taste of spinach. But buying spinach and cooking it is bullshit.
You buy a big old bag and you get a handful.
And it's like, you get this much. And I'm like, come on, man. I need 6 bags to get a cup of spinach.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Dr. Danielle, we like to stay at an hour. We don't want to take all your time away from you. But we like to do a fun little thing, put you on the hot seat because you are a traveler.
Okay.
And so we like to ask you just a few questions, rapid fire.
Okay.
All the places you've traveled, what is the best food that you've eaten thus far?
Indonesia.
And what was that in Indonesia?
Let's see. Beet falafel. It was all vegan. Beet falafel.
Beet falafel?
Yes. Falafel made with beets. Gosh. The jackfruit, you can get, I can get my jackfruit barbecued. Yeah, Indonesia, they had it going on with the vegan food. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, let's see here. I got it here. Because I was wondering, like, what is beet falafel?
And I love beets, as a matter of fact, too.
So it's like this. Does it look like this?
Yeah.
A beet falafel.
Yes. And I love falafel. Yes.
Oh, that does look kind of tasty there.
It is good. It is
Oh,
good.
okay.
It's like patties.
Yeah, because all it is that
Yeah.
like in the Middle East, they make falafel from fava beans. You can make them from chickpeas. But I like the original ones from with fava beans in the middle, because I love Middle Eastern food. But they're making theirs right there with chickpeas and beets. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a little beet powder because my iron drops a little bit, and my little dehydrated beet powder, just like 2 tablespoons, and I'm back in the game.
That's great nitric acid, nitric oxide too. It gives you a good pump when you go to the gym too. It really gives you good energy.
Yes. It does. It's crazy how it does. Like I could really be just like down and just dragging, and I take 2 tablespoons of that beet powder and put it in some water. Off to the races. It's crazy. Yep. Favorite beverage? You don't. Of course, you don't drink alcohol, but juice. Some type of your favorite juice, smoothie,
Let's see here. It would have to be. It would have to be cookies and cream blessed. It's a brand called Blessed. Cookies and cream vegan protein for my protein shake. They are so good.
Look, I'm about to look that up.
Is that in the States or is that in?
It's in the States. It's in the States. It's called Blessed. It's a brand called Blessed.
Blessed.
And they got cookies and cream.
They got cookies and cream. They have salt. I want to say they have salted caramel. Yeah.
But the cookies and cream is the one that's the good one.
Well, all of them are good, but I really like the cookies and cream. But all of them are good. Okay. I don't know if you saw when I was doing, because it was hard for me to get. Initially, it was really hard for me to get good vegan protein in Mexico. So
yeah, I remember that post.
When I was like comparing them, because I was so upset that I was getting these chalky, nasty, and I wanted my Blessed. So yeah.
Yeah, I have it here. Yeah. Okay. What's your thoughts on vegan protein? Like I've seen like pea protein. They have all different types of protein.
Well, and that's all that's in those proteins is like pea protein, hemp seeds are really good in protein, hemp protein, all kind, mostly like the beans and the peas, like literally during that time when I was trying to find a good tasting protein, I literally went to the store, bought some lentils and some chickpeas, put them in my like Vitamix, and made my own protein powder. Added some cinnamon, some stevia for the taste. Yeah, that's what I did.
Okay. Because I know pea protein is a little grainy a little bit sometimes. To me, it's way different than the regular whey or the.
And see, and I get an attitude. You can go to the gym. Like some gyms sell, protein, right? They sell the protein, and when they only have the whey protein, I'm like, you're not a real gym.
Right. That is basic.
Yeah, I'm like, you're doing the bare minimum.
Yes. How you feel about creatine?
I don't use it.
You don't use it? Okay.
Mm-mm. Nope, I don't use it. Because creatine has there's some breakdown issues there.
For me, I used it once because my coach was trying to get me to use it, bodybuilding person, and I felt like creatine interfered with my heart rate.
Yeah, I don't. My coach, we determined that I don't need it.
Yeah,
because I don't need it, and it's really not that necessary. And bodybuilding is that sport where I'm going to stay. If I can't do it vegan and natural, I'm not going to do it, because I'm not going to put any kind of performance enhancing drugs in my system. That's not going to happen.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, we're at 20 minutes over. You have anything else, Tiff?
No, I'm just glad we were able to get you on tonight. I'm glad you're in the States so we can get you on, because I know it's harder when you're traveling abroad. I would like to know, you're going back to Mexico? Are you going back to Puerto Vallarta, or are you trying somewhere new?
Actually, I'm leaning towards Veracruz.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you been to Veracruz before?
No.
Okay.
I very seldom. Like I hadn't visited Mexico before I moved to Puerto Vallarta.
Right. I didn't know. So when you go to certain countries, you don't kind of move around. You just kind of stay in one place.
I may travel.
Like
I may travel across the country sometimes, but I pretty much stay in one place because I'm usually working and I'm training. So where I am in my training regimen, that takes precedent over, and my friends in Mexico, they know. Because like if we were going to trivia night and I'm in competition prep, I'm bringing my food to trivia night.
Okay. I got you. I love it. Love it.
Okay.
Love the commitment.
Yes.
Yes, but this has been a great show here. More than I thought it would be. So that's only because of Dr. Danielle Mincy.
So make sure that from now on, when you travel, make sure you have a resistance band. And so you have to have that I don't care mentality. Because literally, I'm in the airport. Like when I was leaving Barbados, I was doing walking lunges in the airport and like they had like stairs going up to like some of the lounges. I'm running stairs. I don't care about those people looking at me. They don't know me.
Right.
If they knew me, they'd say that's just her.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we appreciate you, the people, the chat, the crowd. They appreciate you coming in. I know y'all a little bit louder than that. All right. There we go. Yes. So you like a cousin to me now. So
okay, great.
I appreciate you, cuz, coming through, kicking it with us. And we will be back in about another 2 Mondays.
Okay.
So we got to bring you back through again and sit with us and talk about travel. I actually need to pick your mind on the residency in Mexico, because I was looking into that too.
I would say do it when you're there. Like I didn't go to the U.S. consulate because they're always running different programs. Okay. And and the programs depend on like during like when I first got there in November 2020. So it's still like they're opening back up after the pandemic. And so there was a program that my 180 days was expiring. So I got there November, December, January, February, March, April. So around April or Mayish, then I was about coming up my expiration. So I got an immigration agent who was I do everything by referrals. Got an immigration agent. I just paid him, and next thing I know, he brings me back my passport. I got another 180 days. Okay. I did that, and then the next time I left the country at Christmas and went to go visit my son right over in San Diego. So I just took the flight to Tijuana, crossed the border, walked cross border express, and then came back, got another 180 days. And when that 180 days was about up, I realized that, hey, you know what? For the amount of money that I'm spending to leave the country to come back to renew, and at this point I had an apartment. So the amount of money that I'm spending to renew every 6 months, I might as well go ahead and get my residency. So I did the 4-year residency, which I'm glad. And I want to say altogether at that point, it might have been $1,000, and I didn't have to show proof of income. And
right.
so
I heard you.
Yeah,
I heard you still have to report it now once you let your temporary visitor's visa expire.
What?
Like, it's like, I heard, like, if you were there from 2020 to like now present and you have an expired visa, you can go back and apply for the 4-year temporary visa without showing financial.
So that, and see, like I said, I was there November 2020. I extended 2 times and then went ahead and got my 4-year residency. And it was under, now the programs, they change, and there's different programs in different states.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I was living in Jalisco State, but went up to Nayarit and got my residency because Nayarit had a different program going at that time.
Yeah. Different per
so
state,
that's always an option to do that. And like I said, I'm glad I did because my 4-year residency expires in 2026.
Nice.
Yeah, 2026.
And
and
then you go into the permanent.
Yeah, I probably will, because I love Mexico. I love doing the traditional things like temazcals and, venturing over into the plant medicines, getting to know the culture. Because like I said, I lived in the hood, so I was not in the touristy area. Partying there with my locals, like the stuff that's going on down on the Malecon in Puerto Vallarta where the tourists are. I didn't have to leave my neighborhood for it because we had our own village square right there. Mm-hmm. And, we have our own rides and all that kind of stuff. And we had the best shopping in the whole place because like the tourist stores, their markup is like 200-300%. Well, they got their inventory from the stores where I lived in the neighborhood. So, And it was, and because I lived in the hood, I got certain perks, especially like Uber drivers, they're like, Pitial? I'm like, yeah, you live in Pitial? I'm like, yes. Because that's never expats to move there, but I loved it. I loved my neighborhood.
It's a lot of good stuff in Mexico. But again, thank you so much, Doctor. Don't be a stranger to us, and that's it for us.
All right. Well, thank you all. It was a pleasure being here.
All right. Thank you, people.
Good night.
All right.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Later.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.